The team ended its tour in the West Coast region. Well, the last port of call of the two ministers and their tour party was Birkama, West Coast region. Their officials observed the reconstruction of drainage systems and discussed best ways of forestalling disasters in an area that has a history of flooding. Linding and Ibo town, the ministers and members of the Disaster Governing Council headed to Abuko before their last port of call in the West Coast region. Though not part of the tour itinerary, the team went to a farmland in Abuko where youths of the Sarahule Youth Development Association were planting cassava stems. The youths pledged their loyalty to the Jame administration and assured the ministers of their unalloyed support. The Minister of the Interior and Forestry and the Environment, Usman Sonko and Jato Sila respectively, thanked the members of the association and assured them of government's continued support. In Birkama, drainage systems were being renovated to cater for the huge flow of water when it rains. An area that is always affected whenever the heavens open up is also being saved. A route is being created there for the passage of water. Serigne Modou Diouf is the Regional Disaster Coordinator for the West Coast region.
Places that we have visited have got a lot of debris. It is going to be my responsibility together with the area council and the Regional Disaster Management Committee to ensure that we all come out in our numbers, of course with the youths of Birkama, to ensure that those debris are all emptied, because they could also be another cause for concern. At the same time, having gone through the highway along the Gunjur highway, there is this petrol station that we are told to made to understand that it belongs to Ja Oil. There is a heap of sand that if something is not done from now against the next rains, there is the possibility that it could be a cause to block the drains.
After visiting various areas in different regions, the ministers had this to say.
Generally, I would say the whole work is very impressive. And here, the work is not quite completed, but looks very impressive.
For Minister Sonko, Banjul should be an example for other areas. He noted that all hands should be on deck in order to minimize flood-related disasters in the country.
Thank you very much. See, when it comes to disaster should be everybody's business. Because when it strikes, it doesn't tell you who exactly the victim is going to be. You could be a victim. And as such, everybody, all hands should be on deck in order to see how best we can mitigate it. We cannot stop it from happening. It would surely happen, but at least we can reduce the impact. And the only way we can reduce the impact is some of the projects that we've embarked on. Because we are of the view that yes, it's not a solution, it's not a lasting solution, it's not a durable solution, but then we thought perhaps whatever it is, it could be able to go a long way in addressing or mitigating disasters whenever they happen, especially floods.
Engineers and stakeholders in disaster risk reduction will now go back to their various institutions and continue work based on the observations made during the tour of various sites. For GRTS News, I am Isis Tudaba. The Defense Counsel in the trial against 9 men suspected of drug peddling and the possession of firearms has described the charges as mere suspicion and urged the court to acquit and discharge the accused. Defense lawyer Lamin Kamara made the submission at the Banjul Magistrates Court, presided over by Taiwo Alagbe in the ongoing trial of 9 expatriates charged with possession of more than 2 tons of cocaine, the biggest such seizure in the Gambia's history, with a street value of over $1 billion. Details of that story will come in our tomorrow's news bulletin. And you can also follow these stories and other GRTS programs live on our website at www.grts.gm. There you can also monitor GRTS Radio Live. We'll now go for a short break. We'll be back with more stories after that. Welcome back. You're watching the news on GRTS. The brother of Afghan President Ahmad Karzai has been shot dead in his home in Kandahar, the spiritual home of the Taliban. Ahmad Wali Karzai was a key representative of President Karzai's government in that region. French President Nicolas Sarkozy has said French troops will pull out of Afghanistan by the end of 2012. Sarkozy made these remarks during a surprise visit to the country. We turn to this roundup of world news for more on these and other stories.
Tuesday, although Ahmed Wali Karzai was dogged by allegations of drug trafficking, he was a key representative of President Karzai's government in Kandahar, one of the most violent provinces in Afghanistan and the spiritual home of the Taliban. Ahmed Wali Karzai's murder has revealed doubts about the government's ability to manage security. French President Nicolas Sarkozy, on visit to Afghanistan Tuesday, announced that France will withdraw 1,000 of its 4,000 troops by the end of 2012. All French troops will have pulled out by 2014. President Sarkozy's surprise visit came on the day after a 22-year-old French soldier was killed by a fellow French soldier in an accidental shooting. France has lost 64 soldiers in the war in Afghanistan. The Eurozone debt crisis is starting to hit stock markets, with share prices and the euro starting to fall worldwide. Financial markets are jittery since the European Union is struggling to stop the Eurozone debt crisis spreading. However, Greece is relieved by a decision by EU ministers to bolster a multi-billion euro fund to help Eurozone countries in difficulty. The British Sunday newspaper News of the World was closed down by Rupert Murdoch's media empire, but scandals surrounding the newspapers continue. Britain's former Prime Minister Gordon Brown accused the Sunday Times of using illegal means to gain access to private information.
The Sunday Times appear to have got access to my Building Society account. They got access to my legal files. There's some question mark about what happened to other files, documentation, tax and everything else.
British MPs are asking the media tycoon Rupert Murdoch to answer their questions about his media's phone hacking methods.
And we now take a quick look at the news and sports. For so long, they have been living under the shadows of their male counterparts when it comes to the advancement of their game. But female footballers in the Gambia are looking at ways to energize the game in the country. The drive received a significant boost when 24 teams from across the country received football materials from the Gambia Football Association. Our Babakar Senghor has more on that story and its implications for the development of female football in the Gambia.
Given the necessary support, the Gambia Football Association's plans to push through a diversified football development will remain undiluted unless the female football that is still struggling matches the successes of its male counterparts. These bales of jerseys are the latest form of inducement the GFA is partnering with to help female teams engage in meaningful competitions in the country. It is a giant leap, a statement of intent from the FA bosses that this shift is truly significant from words to actions.
This is in line with Gambia Football Association's policies to promote and develop all aspects of football in this country, particularly women's football. I may add to say that this came as a result of that commitment and the promise the Executive Committee of the Gambia Football Association put in place for the holistic development of women football in this country.
24 local female clubs will benefit from the donation, 12 each from the Greater Banjul area and the remaining coming from the rest of the country. To ensure a proper harnessing of the enormous talents embedded in the local female football, strategies must be put in place to expand their development. A lot of the beneficiary club members and officials went home generally satisfied with what they see will help inject new life into the female game in the country.
Well, I'm very happy about it because it comes at a time that we really need it. And most of these teams, we don't have sponsors who will buy these jerseys for us. and the FA is giving it to us.